It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM Radio Network, part of the NewAmericanMedia.com. I am your host, celebrating our birthday week. The New American Media is now 3 years old. Thank you very much for participating and joining us in all of these conversations over the years. I appreciate it. I certainly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Real quick, if you haven't checked out our homepage, it's at thenewamericanmedia.com. Please go check it out. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, it's youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Click subscribe, add some comments on the politics, the sports, the spirituality, the finance, the whatever article, the music, the whatever interests you. Leave some comments. We got an archive of content over there. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. Please click follow. And then on Facebook, search The New American Media with space in between and like the page because we like it when you do that. So we're just going to jump right into things. We have 3 guests lined up, and we're going to bring them in kind of one by one. First is going to be someone you might know if you've listened to the program before. His name is Zak Baris. He's an NBA scout. He's a lifelong Cleveland sports fan. We want to talk about this Cleveland Browns draft. Well, we're going to try.
Hello?
Zak, you are live on the Unhappy Hour. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Well, I was doing fantastic.
I'm actually not great, thinking about it.
Yeah, you're not great. So you heard the news then, huh?
Obviously. I don't think anybody hasn't.
Okay, well, let's get to that in just a second. Well, God, no, it's the thing happening right now. Go ahead, let's tell everybody about it. But before you do, if you're not following Zak on Twitter, you should. He's at Zbaris. That's Zbaris. And I'm guessing you have Josh Gordon on the mind.
Yeah, well, I purchased season tickets to the Browns today, so I think it was a mistake.
Brian Hoyer throwing to, who did we get off the Lions? Who's that other receiver we got off the?
Nate Burleson.
Yeah. Brian Hoyer to Burleson. Yeah, it'll be like Browns picking yesterday. We had 4th and 26, which is something Cleveland fans are used to hearing. 4th and 26 for the Browns.
Yeah, by any chance, if you have the draft on when the Texans pick, please let me know over the air. I'd appreciate it.
Oh, you know what? I'll have to pull that up here. I'm kind of running like 9
I'm just
boards.
in the car right now, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? I'll pull it up and I'll get the ticker going. Yeah, okay. NFL draft round 1. Oh, 33. Xavier Su'a-Filo. Offensive.
Okay, that was the guard from UCLA. The Browns, I think, were high on.
Yeah. Well, I think we got to go get Lee, don't we?
Lee Robinson, the guy from Indiana, Latimer. There's a lot of guys.
Yeah. Well, the
Frankly,
story.
It's a deep wide receiver draft.
Well, the story that we're talking about, of course. Josh, this from ESPN.com. Josh Gordon facing suspension. Cleveland Browns wide receiver Josh Gordon is facing a season-long suspension after another failed drug test months ago, this time for marijuana, sources told ESPN's Outside the Lines on Friday. No comment, don't know anything about it, blah, 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 blah. But he missed 2 games last year for, what was it, codeine cough syrup? And he still led the league. Still led the league in yards receiving, first receiver to have 200-yard receptions, 200-yard games back-to-back. And, this is why I was saying at number 4, let's get Sammy Watkins. I don't know, because I graded the Browns at an A yesterday. But with this happening, that's why I wanted Watkins as an insurance policy against this crap. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would have given him an A+ yesterday. I did. I thought they deserved an A+, and then you look back at it today and saying that the team already knew about this happening. Why wouldn't you go out there and grab Sammy Watkins at this point then? You needed a wide receiver desperately, and now whatever you get in the second round is nothing comparable to what you get in Sammy Watkins. But before you didn't need it, with Josh Gordon at the helm as your number 1, you didn't need Sammy Watkins. You didn't need a true number one. You needed a number two, a complementary piece
Right.
to Josh Gordon. And when, and now you're looking at it and you look at it and say, okay, we need a number one. Sammy Watkins could have been that guy.
And it's
So
not like you can.
that's what you're looking at here.
Yeah, you
And
can't
can the
fix
Browns
that.
conceivably replace Josh Gordon? I think the answer is absolutely not.
No, because he did something in the NFL that nobody was able to do, and this was with Brandon Weeden throwing him the ball, for God's sake. The kid has
not
skill.
just with Brandon Weeden. He had three different quarterbacks throwing him the football last year. Let's not forget that. And the fact that, they had no stability at the quarterback position. He was being double covered most of the season because they didn't have a number two wide receiver. Imagine with Hoyer and Manziel throwing the football, two quarterbacks who are in a much more elite class than Jason Campbell and Brandon Weeden.
Right.
And you just look at it and you say, okay, it could have been great. And now you're just saying, okay, now who is Johnny going to throw the football to? Now do we work his way in week one in the season? He doesn't have that Mike Evans type anymore to go up and throw the ball right up to go make jump balls. Because the Browns don't have it. They lose their best red zone target. It suddenly puts more pressure on Jordan Cameron. I mean, just looking at it across the board, it's a huge effect on the Browns' offense. Josh Gordon, he was the face of the Browns' offense.
Yeah, he was. He was the face of the NFL last year. I mean, the kid missed 2 games and he led the league in receiving. I mean, he really rocked it. Who is it? We got the Cowboys picking now with 1:30 left. They're on the clock. Got the ticker going. Yeah, they
the Cowboys traded up?
Cowboys are sitting there, yeah. Yeah, it says...
Who'd they trade with?
I don't know. I'm trying to navigate through this here.
It would have been a trade with the Redskins, maybe? I think the Redskins have the second.
Well, they're talking about Gordon. Oh, pick submitted. I'll tell you in a second. But we were happy with the draft yesterday. Talk about what happened with Manziel falling the way that he did and how we ended up moving around. Because it kind of was like Kevin Costner in draft day, moving around, trading all these picks, then trading some more, then moving up, then moving down. And it was pretty interesting, if nothing else.
Yeah, to say the least. I was surprised when the Browns traded number 4. I was like, okay. And then I said, okay, they're going to pick up an extra second from Buffalo. Great trade. And then I find out they picked up a 2015 first, which you're looking at a top 10 talent most likely. Buffalo stinks.
Yeah.
And
it's not like
Watkins
the Colts again.
Rookie.
It's not like you're expecting the Colts to make the playoffs and it's like, hey, have pick 27 again or something like that. Like the Bills are probably not going to lead.
When you traded for the Colts pick, you knew that was a playoff team. You knew it. Andrew Luck was in the playoffs his rookie year. What's going to prevent him from being there in his sophomore year?
Right.
So they were going to be back. You knew they were a 10 to 12 win football team. That was obvious from the beginning of the season. And so, obviously the Browns knew what they were getting when they traded Richardson. They knew they were getting a late first. When they yesterday, I'd be shocked to see if that pick is any lower than 15 next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So I felt right off the bat that they did a really good job adding, because that's what happened with the Browns. They had that second pick, so they were so flexible. They had so many backup plans, if X then Y, if A then B, if C then D, because they could move down, they could move up, and that's what having that second first-round pick did. It gave them the luxury to really go out there and move around, and I liked that, and I like knowing that we're set up that way for next year, but it really is, I don't want to talk about Sammy Watkins right now, but so they were maneuvering around. You thought that was a hell of a deal then? To scoot down
they got the best corner in the draft, and you picked up arguably a top 10 pick next year. So yeah, what's not to like about it? And then you find out today about Sammy Watkins. About Josh Gordon, but let's get to that in a minute. Then the Browns are sitting there. Now here's the difference. In 2007, they came out with the most elite left tackle in Joe Thomas, and they came out with Brady Quinn, the second best quarterback on the board, who had fallen. And what you got to accept, the difference is, you lost next year's first-round pick when you took Brady Quinn. This year, you gained a first-round pick. That's the difference. So you still have your 2 picks. You got away with a guy who is conceivably a top 5 pick in Manziel. You got away with a top 10 pick in Gilbert, and you got a first round for next year. So yeah, the Browns had a steal on the first day of the draft.
Yeah, I think so.
And they might get another steal here if they wind up with Marquise Lee or Allen Robinson or one of these guys. It's another steal, especially with Marquise Lee.
Well,
the guy, don't forget.
Pause on Marquise Lee. Pause on Marquise Lee. DeMarcus Lawrence was selected as outside linebacker. 6'2", 251 from Boise State from the Dallas Cowboys. Now the Cleveland
He's
Browns
a
are
good
on the
player.
clock.
He's a good player. I think he was a projected late first, early second.
Okay. Yeah, they said overall rank 43 maybe. They're saying the Browns'
round.
best available, Morgan Moses, offensive tackle of Virginia, 6'6", 314, or Marquise Lee. I mean, with the Josh Gordon news, how do you not go Marquise Lee?
Are the Browns on the board right now, or who's up?
Browns are on the clock, and I was really hoping that we were going to go out and get Carlos Hyde, the number one running back in the draft.
I didn't think. Here's the problem with running back. It's much harder to get a wide receiver in the third or fourth round than it is a running back. Don't forget that. A lot of good running backs. Alfred Morris came in the 6th round. Michael Turner came in the 4th or 5th round. I mean, you can find a running back late in the draft. You cannot find it. It's very difficult to find a great wide receiver late. There are certain skill positions like wide receiver, cornerback, quarterback, and left tackle, which are positions you are just they're basically the positions that are relegated to the top of the draft if you're looking for top tier talent. You're not going to find those late in the draft. You name a shutdown corner that wasn't a first round pick.
Yeah, and having, I mean, what do? We let T.J. Ward get away, but we have essentially traded him for Dante Whitner. A lot of people said it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Some players, he's better at a couple things, and T.J. Ward might have been better at a couple things, but in general, I think we had a slight upgrade, if not just a slide diagonal, with Dante Whitner, and we keep Joe Hayden, and now, some people were saying we reached on that pick at number 9.
They didn't reach on Gilbert. Gilbert was projected to go in the top 10. I'm not going to say they reached on him. For others, a projected top 10, top 15 pick, it's not a reach.
And so what is that going to do for the Browns then with Justin Gilbert out of Oklahoma State?
I mean, it allows the Browns to blitz more on the edge. It allows them to play more man coverage in the secondary, especially. You have, Pettin likes to blitz a lot and create an island with his corners, at least from what I've seen with his teams, with Baltimore, with the Jets, and with Buffalo. That's what he does. He likes his corners to be able to play man, and it's something Cleveland would not have been able to do this season with Buster Skrine and Leon McFadden as your top 2 corners. I'm sorry, but it just isn't possible.
Yeah, Buster Skrine, I think they rated him the 5th worst at the position last year. I was reading in one report. So many different grading systems, but yeah, I mean that's really going to lock it up. That Browns defense is looking really good, and my thoughts were, you know what, Ray Farmer deserves a chance. Mike Pettin deserves a chance, and if they liked Justin Gilbert enough to take him at number 9, then they must see something in him. And we picked a defensive-minded coach. He used to be the defensive coordinator over in Buffalo. Let's roll with it.
I have a lot of faith in Ray Farmer, a lot of faith. So I'm not going to sit here and doubt Ray Farmer's pick. I'm not gonna sit here. I have no doubts about Ray Farmer so far. What he was able to pull off last night, without having to give up anything major, was unbelievable.
Do you think that they got lucky? It was more luck getting Manziel where they did.
You know what? It doesn't matter, luck or with strategy. It doesn't matter. Good players fall, and when they fall into your lap, yeah, I guess it is luck. But at the same time, the Browns made smart decision making. They didn't reach for Manziel at 4. They didn't, and they look like geniuses.
Twitter's telling me that the Browns just took somebody different. I'm waiting for my ESPN to confirm.
Who?
Hold on.
Who is it?
Offensive lineman Joel Bitonio with a 35th overall pick. I'm trying to get some more information on him. But, I mean, and I'll tell you when I get a second, I get to pull up his card here. But, I mean, Johnny Manziel, you went out and got season tickets today. Apparently, half of Cleveland did, too. It was one of the big main stories that season tickets went through the roof.
Like I said, it'll affect the play of the Browns. But, like you said, the Browns don't seem to be panicking here, which seems to be a good sign. If they've known about this for weeks and they're not panicking, it seems like a good sign.
That's a pretty good point. I like the way that you're putting that, because
I'm going to be cautiously optimistic tonight because I was feeling great last night. I mean, these are one of these moments as a Cleveland fan. It's almost like winning the lottery in 2003. You'll never forget where you were.
I was bartending at Buffalo Wild Wings.
I was at Landerhaven listening to Alan Key speak. Like I said, I'll never forget that. It was in 2000. It was 11 years ago. I was 15 years old, and I had a Casio TV with me, listening to get a big benefit, and with a bunch of politicians there. And I'm sitting with a Casio TV, watching it on TV, and everybody going, "Who got the number 1 pick?" And I go and announce. I go up there. There had to be 2,000 people saying that the Cavaliers just got the number 1 overall pick, and they announced it in the middle of Alan Key's speech. So
Oh, this is okay. Now this is weird. I'm getting that Jason Lockenfor is saying the Browns are selecting Joel Bitonio, but most are reporting Marquise Lee, and ESPN is frozen right here.
Let's see. We're saying it right now. It's on the radio. Eric Metcalf.
We got Eric Metcalf. He fills so many holes immediately.
Take him. Let's see, they're announcing the pick.
I thought you were breaking news that we got Metcalf. I would love him again.
Joel
All right.
Bitonio. I think he was the top-rated player on the board.
All right, Joel Bitonio.
So that means Mitchell Schwartz will slide inside the guard.
You're certain about that?
Most likely, yeah.
Because I think people were expecting a little bit more. There we go. Now ESPN's doing it. Thank you. So where's my player card? How do
I mean, here's what it does now. It solidifies the Browns' offensive line. You need to fill in a guard position and allow Schwartz to slide over, where he's probably he's a nasty run blocker. He's probably a better fitted guard than he is a tackle. This solidifies the Browns' offensive line for the next few years. I like the pick. I would have loved a wide receiver here, but I expect them to fully trade back into this. Fully.
Yeah, and we have the ammunition for it. Trade next year's second and a fifth this
Or
year.
no, what they'll do is they'll trade this year's third, and then they'll trade next year's fourth. It doesn't take that much to move up.
And I think this is the year that you need to do it. You know, when you get a franchise quarterback, you know, I'm happy seeing offensive tackles, offensive guards, centers.
They're
I like
very
those
important
picks.
to a team.
Nobody's going to succeed if you got a bunch of lousy players. But
Look
I mean,
how good, like I said, is when the Browns were healthy in 2007, the biggest proponent of that offense was the line. Nobody was injured, and the line was dominant. When you had Ryan Tucker, you had, what's his name? Hank Fraley, Joe Thomas, Eric Steinbach. That was a dominant line.
oh, Steinbach.
It really
I
was.
remember
It was
that.
a dominant line. And they were really good in 07 because, don't forget, Derek Anderson had all day to throw. A 30-year-old Jamal Lewis, who had averaged 3 yards a carry beforehand, was averaging 4.5 yards a carry and ran for a ton of touchdowns. You know, for a dozen touchdowns that season. There was a reason why. Great teams have great offensive lines. And you're not going to be great unless you have a great line. Like I said, I think more pressing need was a receiver, but if the Browns are neglecting receiver, there must be a reason for it.
And that is such a great point, because the story from ESPN, this isn't something that happened today and it messed up their whole draft plan. This is something that if they inform the player, they have to inform the team, is my understanding. And if that happened, then back in April, we've known about this for several weeks, if not a month or so. So
The Browns didn't go out there. They did not get Deshaun Jackson.
right.
I mean, if they've known about it for some time, they did not do this. They did not go and trade a fourth-round pick for Stevie Johnson today. They did not do that.
That's all it took was a fourth rounder. I saw the trade of the 49ers.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, though. There must be something to this. I'm not saying – I could be completely wrong. I probably am. But at the same time –
Well, you know what? It's all right. We'll give you a little pass here because you're our NBA guy. And I have two other guests lined up today.
Yeah, but I've worked in football, though. That's the thing. Is I did work for the University of Arizona football team. I worked as a defensive assistant, and I worked in recruiting. So it's not like I don't know football. I know it very well.
Now, I know that.
I know it very well.
I know that you
Football
know
was
that.
actually my number one sport before I went into basketball. And I know baseball very well, too, because I used to work at a sports agency in college. And, you know, during the summertime, I worked at Gaylord Sports Management. So I was their baseball division intern. So, and I did scouting for them. And it's like, you know, it's funny because people always say, oh, this sport isn't your background. I go, I've got 3 sports that I've got my background in. It's funny because basketball is my third choice.
And yet that's the one you seem to be excelling at. Go figure.
It just happened to be where I got the job at, so that's what I took. You know, my first goal was baseball or football. That's what I wanted. But I didn't get that. I got basketball. I got hired by a big trading agency in L.A. I took it. I wasn't expecting that. I really wasn't, but that's where I got hired because I did work in basketball. So, I mean, like I said, I'm very well-rounded when it comes to sports. I know what I'm talking about. It just depends, you know, back, you know, the last couple of years, I really focused my life on basketball. It was completely different. I did watch a ton of football, and I started to neglect baseball a little bit. But, I mean, I still do watch the Tribe, and I watch them a lot. But it's just different. There's a difference between paying attention directly and watching games.
No, and I know that we talk every sport here on the Unhappy Hour with you, Zach. Of course, I know that. By the way, I got the card in front of me. Joel Bitonio, 6'4" and 1/4, 302 pounds out of Nevada. Scouts grade him an 89. Position rank number 6 out of all the tackles. Overall rank 31.
So he's graded as a first-round talent.
Yeah, 31, and we got him at 35. So in theory, we have some.
In theory, he's a late first-round talent, so it's not a bad pick.
Exactly, and the Browns do not select again in this round. But like you said, what do we have? We have 2 more picks in the 3rd round, I believe. I can pull this up here. Oh, I can look by team. Perfect. Yeah, I think we have 2 more picks. Yeah, number 71 and 83. So we don't pick again for a while. But we got options to move up, and we have 2 4th-round picks as well, so we could definitely move some things around.
Yeah.
Well, let me see who just got drafted here. I like this because it's like live as everything's happening. Okay. Derek Carr off the board
2.
to the Raiders.
Good pick by them. They needed a quarterback desperately.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have their long-term answer with Schaub, and they let Terrell Pryor go for peanuts.
I don't think Matt Schaub's a short-term answer to begin with either, but...
Well, fair enough, the way he played last year. But, hey, let me do this, because I do have a couple other people that I'm going to bring into the program today. They want to talk Johnny football. They want to talk the Browns. But, I mean, just final thoughts on the entire draft in general, the Gordon thing. Just tie it all together for us, and I just want to get any quick hits you have on the NBA as well.
The draft's been going really well for the Browns. I think they've hit on all 3 picks so far. They filled in some very, very pressing needs. And with getting the top-tier talent in the draft, too. It's not like they've been reaching for these guys. They've gotten top-tier talent. That's the difference. You know, they didn't reach for Manziel. They didn't reach for Gilbert. They traded down. I think they've been very patient with their picks, and they're not picking, they're not picking like they did a few years ago when the Browns took Whedon just because there's a need.
Yeah.
So,
that
so
was.
I definitely like what they're doing so far. And like I said, there still might be something up with the Josh Gordon thing. I don't know yet.
Something up with it, like it's a false positive, or it's not him, or it's not going to apply, or we have another plan at wide receiver.
I really don't know what the deal is. I can't speak on behalf of the Cleveland Browns organization. I really have honestly no clue what they're doing.
Well, and that's
I wish
the thing.
I knew.
I give these guys so much slack. Mike Holmgren, Banner and Lombardi. Like I give these guys. I cut them slack, and I'm like, all right, the proof is out there. I give you 2 or 3 years. You can't cut a player or cut a head coach like last year after 1 season. I think that's insanity, like they did to Chudzinski. I think you got to give him at least 3 years and see, are you starting to trend in the right direction or the wrong direction or flatlining? So, I mean, it's all out there. It just stinks hearing that Gordon might be gone for a year, and I loved Sammy Watkins as the possibility of being like that backup insurance plan for the Browns. But you know what? Got to see how it works. That defensive coach getting Justin Gilbert to really help out Joe Hayden. I mean, that's going to be huge. And if Johnny Manziel turns into a decent player, I mean, we've had 20 quarterbacks since 1999. So, man, I'm excited, and I fully expect the Browns to trade up back into this round as well. I think you definitely nailed it with that.
I'd be very surprised if they don't. Let's put it that way.
All right, any quick hits on the NBA? I mean, to look around the league.
Yeah, I mean, the playoffs so far, obviously, like I said with the Heat, my prediction of them possibly sweeping the Eastern Conference, they're 6 for 6 so far. So, I mean, like, I hit on that one. Roy Hibbert seems like he finally awoke out of his coma.
Yeah.
And that's about in the East. The West, like I said, it's open between the Clippers and the Thunder. I think that's a great series. That one should probably go to 7 games.
I think that'll go 7. But do you think the Spurs are going to sweep Portland?
Like I said, I think they'll take care of business.
Yeah, they're looking really good. Portland is a team on
I
the
have
rise.
a feeling they would. I think Houston would have given San Antonio more problems than Portland. I think just the matchup alone. So, because Houston plays at a faster pace, and that's what Oklahoma City was able to do, was wear down San Antonio 2 years ago. That's how they got the finals. They wore them down by their fast-paced play. And I think that's why they were able to beat them. And I think Houston would have stood a much better chance against San Antonio than Portland did.
Well, yeah, we're going to see how it goes. It is interesting to see the Pacers come to life because, Pacers Heat is kind of what we were thinking all along. We'll see. Washington's putting up a fight, but Indy hasn't really been a normal team lately. I'm in agreement with you that OKC and Clippers could easily be a 7-game series, and I think the Spurs are going to kind of mop them. I mean, what's the average they've been beating them by? The Blazers, like 20 something.
A lot.
Yeah, it hasn't even been close.
It's in the 20s.
Well, all right, then Zach, we're gonna make this a quick hit, and then maybe we can connect a little bit later after the entirety of the draft plays out. But
Yeah, and Brian, you're officially invited to a Browns home game next season. So.
Woohoo! I'm in. Well, maybe later in the season when Johnny Football is gonna be playing. Is that how that works?
Hopefully, yeah.
All right.
So I mean, we'll play it out. We'll play it by ear. There's 8 games and 2 preseasons, so there's 10 home games.
All right. Well, then we shall talk off air, and I will start to make my arrangements. I'm still trying to find a way to get to the Indians-Dodger game, one of these out here. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But
when is Indians-Dodgers?
I think it's July. I'd have to triple check.
Ooh, I want to come out in July, so it's either L.A. or New York, so I got to decide. So
L.A. or New York, huh? For what? For work or for a vacation?
No, for a vacation.
Oh, okay. Let me pull
I'm
up
deciding between L.A. and New York, but all my L.A. friends are going to be in New York part of July, so that's why I was thinking New York.
Well, here, let me pull up Cleveland's schedule. Let's see who we got. April, May, All right, July. Okay, June 30. That's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Dodgers. June 30, July 1, July 2.
I might come out for that because I was debating about coming out for July 4th, so I might just do that.
Oh, well then, hell yeah. Then, yeah, there's, what is that? Tribe plays Kansas. Yeah, July 1st and 2nd, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, all right, let's talk off air.
I think I might do that. So,
right,
yeah,
cool.
Let's talk off air. But thanks again, as always, for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely, my man. And here's to the Browns continuing another successful draft. And let's really hope that Josh Gordon isn't as much of a mess as he is. But remember, folks, we drafted him in the second-round supplemental because he got kicked out of about, 2 or 3 schools for weed?
Two schools.
I mean, we knew what we were getting. He's high risk, high reward. So we're going to find out how that all shakes out. But, Zach, really, thank you for joining the program again. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, take care. There goes Zak Baris, everybody. Please make sure that you're following him on Twitter at ZBaris. That's ZBARIS. And we're going to bring in somebody new to the program, I believe, right about now. Let's make sure we can do this. It's a brand new, let's see. Yeah, I was not as prepared as I would have hoped today. I won't bore you with the details, but hey, we all have things going on in our lives, don't we? I won't bore you with exactly everything that's going on. But we're going to bring in John Toburin to the program. Talk some more Browns.
Hello.
John.
What's going on?
Hey, you are live on the Unhappy Hour. Welcome to the program, sir. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, well, you come highly recommended. So we.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but.
Hey, the broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, welcome to the show, man. I kind of just want to let you introduce yourself to everybody and kind of explain, your deal. My understanding is you are a Michigan fan, so, shockingly, I am giving you the microphone for a moment, but no, you're a big Browns fan is what I gather, and you're starting your own endeavor covering sports a little bit. So the floor is open to you. Say hello to everybody.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm John Toburin. As you stated, I am originally from Michigan. My roots are there, but I've always been a Browns fan. I'm the social media director of the Strongsville Browns backers, so basically any tweet or Facebook from them, it's pretty much from me. Also do a podcast with More Than a Fan once or twice a month on a Wednesday, just breaking down Cleveland sports, and then they throw me on to give the outlook from, an outsider looking in and the fact of for the Indians and Cavs and Ohio State, just kind of a different outlook. So it kind of breaks up the monotony of the love fest that kind of goes on down here in Cleveland a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting being disconnected from it. I grew up in Brunswick and went to Bowling Green, stayed there, graduated 4 years, spent an additional 4 years out there, and then moved to Los Angeles about 9 years ago. But yeah, it's interesting leaving Cleveland sports radio and kind of having that yearning for it. And what this has always been for me at the unhappy hour. Obviously, it's called the unhappy hour because we never celebrate championships in Cleveland, unfortunately.
Right.
But it's always a good chance to get together with like your buddies from college, your buddies from high school, your friends and family that, everybody wants to talk sports from time to time. And this is, unfortunately, what a lot of people say is the Super Bowl time for Cleveland sports fans, Browns fans especially. It's draft time. So let's kind of start there before we get into all the Josh Gordon nonsense that I think you were the first one to tip me off to. Because contrary to popular belief, I'm not constantly plugged in 24 hours a day to the breaking news, which is why at the New American Media, all you have to do is send us a tweet and tag at American_media_, and if it's newsworthy, if it's relevant, and you gave us a tip, we will retweet that to our 19,000, and we appreciate that. So talk about Ray Farmer, talk about Mike Pettin, talk about the draft picks that we got with Justin Gilbert and all the bouncing around in the first round. Just kind of take it from your experience. How do you sum up what the Browns did yesterday and on day one of the NFL draft?
Personally, I love it. First of all, I loved it because nobody knew what we were going to do. It was the first time in a long time that the regime hasn't tipped off what we did. So I love that Ray Farmer kept very close of what they wanted to do. Nobody was tipped off. So it made a different experience at the bar last night watching the draft because we had no idea what we were going to do at 4. And obviously trading out of it, it came to shock. But when you look at it from getting what we desperately needed on defense is another cornerback. I mean, Screen's good for a nickel package, the third cornerback, but he wasn't that second one. Now you're looking at the potential of having 2 lockdown cornerbacks on the defense with already a solid defensive line, probably one of the deepest in the league,
right?
And a very nice linebacking core, and then adding Dante Whitner this year, it made a lot of sense to me. And getting a first-round pick from Buffalo, who, let's be honest, they still don't have a quarterback. And they traded away Stevie Johnson today. So now it's basically Watkins as their go-to receiver, and then you got Spiller as the running back. So that's pretty much, if you're looking at it, I'm guessing that's another top 10 pick.
Top 15 easy, probably another top 10.
Yeah. So right there, that was great. And you addressed what I felt was, outside a quarterback, the biggest glaring need on this team. Trading up, basically your pick that you got for Trent Richardson and a 5th-round pick to get Johnny Manziel. I mean, the bar went nuts when we drafted him last night. And
I heard that.
It basically was, we won the Super Bowl. It was amazing. And, I mean, I was fired up today. I went golfing this morning, and the buddies I went with, that's all we talked about for probably the first 9 holes was just Manziel. And how excited we were to actually have relevance for this team now. So I liked what they did in the first round. And then they just drafted a tackle from Nevada in the second round.
Joel Bitonio, a tackle. So what does that mean for Mitchell Schwartz then? Is he going to get bumped inside to guard? Is he out, or what do we do there?
Here's the thing. They came out and said, I want to say last week, they came out and said that Schwartz was playing, or one of the radio guys when they were at Berea broadcasting, one of the personnel in Berea told them that Schwartz was actually hurt half of the season last year.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So his awful play was because he was actually playing hurt. And if you go back and look at it, and I mean, I get bored at work, so I actually will go back and watch old tapes of football games just because I have nothing else to do. And you can see the difference in Schwartz where he's actually playing a little better towards the end of the year. So
what did they say? What did they say his problem was? What did he injure?
They never said on the air, and actually I was at their remote today, and I was trying to get what he was hurt, and all the guy would tell me was that it was like a lower body injury.
Okay.
So my guess would probably be like knee or ankle, because he looked really slow. So, but I don't know. I mean, this guy probably could be the guy that we drafted. Probably, I would say, slides into guard. You know, and because he played a little guard in college, so I can see him going into left guard, and then you go Thomas, this guy Mack, and the offensive line looks a lot better.
Yeah, what are we doing with the right guard though?
God, who is it? Gilkey, and I can't remember who else we have. Man, his name's escaping me.
No, it's fine. Now I'm doing the thing where I'm like trying to play Jeopardy with you. That's not my point here, because to think of every single player and every depth chart. Nah, I'm gonna fail that trick a couple of times myself.
Yeah.
But I know that our guard play was some of the weakest, and we thought Mitchell Schwartz was going to be a stud. He showed moments, and then you're saying that he was injured for half the season. The weirdest thing with Alex Mack, how they had his contract up, and then they didn't sign him, but then they didn't give him the franchise, but they gave him and then he ended up coming back. It's like, guys, really, did you have to go on that weird dance with Jacksonville just to come back here? But apparently they did. But they're saying Alex Mack is fantastic. He's a Pro Bowler, so I mean, how much more help does that offensive line need to become stable? Because you don't want to put Manziel back there like they do with Tim Couch. You got to give him some time.
Oh, God. Yeah, and I mean, I think they addressed it with this pick. Now you're looking at pretty much, if this guy pans out to be a starter, you're looking at just maybe filling the right guard. And honestly, when you run, your right side is important, but not as important as solidifying the blind side of your quarterback.
Right.
So I really think this is going to help just solidify the whole thing. And then if Schwartz comes back healthy this year, that's just an added bonus to have your right tackle, your center, and your left tackle solid. You can pretty much plug a lot more people into the guard play as opposed to trying to replace a right tackle or a left tackle. So I think the offensive line is good. The fact that we signed a fullback and we're actually going to run some, power I is going to be a huge difference in the offensive scheme, I think, too.
Who do we sign over at fullback?
I think somebody from Cincinnati. I'm not 100% sure, but they signed him. I want to say like the third week of free agency. We signed some guy. I don't have it pulled up in front of me.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up in front of me. This drives me batty. Let's see. Greco is the backup at center. We got Greco, Gilkey, and McQuiston at left guard. Pinkston and Warren at right guard. Then you got Schwartz and Wallace at right, Thomas, Fragel, and Falk at left. Okay, let's see. Who were you saying at running back? Not Obanaya, because he's listed as a fullback.
There should be another fullback.
Yeah, there's another one, Presley.
Yeah.
They have a guy, Chris Presley.
Yeah, and
out of Wisconsin.
He's not an Obanaya type. He's a fullback. He is the one that will go into the hole and knock the linebacker out to open it up for Tate a little more.
There you go. Yeah, 25 days ago, Browns add flexibility with fullback Presley. They signed the position player they lacked in 2013, Chris Presley from Cincinnati. Absolutely right.
Yeah, I just forgot his name.
His name is Chris Presley. What is that in Fight Club? His name was Chris Presley.
Presley.
His name?
Yeah, and last night we all forgot his name too. We knew what team he was from, and we knew what position, but we could not remember his name.
No, it's all good. Talking about value with running backs, because now I'm looking at fullbacks and I'm looking at the roster at running back. I really do like Ben Tate. He's solid, but he's very fragile. I mean, I was hoping that the Browns were going to go out and get maybe a Carlos Hyde with this pick that they spent on the offensive lineman. But of course, We do need an offensive lineman too, so I can't hate on it. Any running back is going to do better if your offensive line is better. So I'm huge on offensive linemen. I thought when we became a franchise, an expansion team in '99, they should have picked maybe like the top skill position player in the first round and nothing but O linemen in the second, and like through the entire rest of the draft. Just beef that line up and get some studs in there, because it's going to make everything better. But with the revelations today, with Josh Gordon possibly being suspended for the season, do you find it interesting that the Browns did not go get Marquise Lee, who now was just drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars? He's off the board now. Are you surprised we didn't go with receiver instead of lineman?
Yeah, I am, because some of the reports on Twitter, and one of the guys that we were sitting with knows a couple of people in the front office of the Browns. The rumors going around that the front office, not Tennant, but like Shiner and Farmer and all that, knew that Gordon failed it yesterday. So
wait,
did
they have 1 day notice, or because they said that this happened in April? And my understanding is that if they inform the player, they have to inform the team, and this should have been weeks and weeks ago. Or am I way off base with the information coming out today?
Well, what's coming out today is just that the Browns knew yesterday that Gordon failed. So I don't know how their drug policy works. I believe you're right, where when they inform the player, they have to inform the team. But even if they knew, this fits to the scheme that I think Mike Tennant wants to run, which is more a punch you in the mouth, run the ball, possession receiver type thing. And that's where Nate Burleson signing comes in, where he's not the deep threat. He's more of that possession, third down, out receiver, over the middle, big receiver that you can get. So, Gordon getting suspended, if they knew or not, that's still a rumor, and I'm sure the Browns will never confirm or deny if they knew, the beginning of the draft when they traded out of 4 and they passed up on Watkins and on Evans.
I mean, because we passed up on AJ. What didn't we pass up on AJ Green and Julio Jones also a couple years ago?
Well, we traded Phil Taylor as Julio Jones, because we traded with Atlanta, and Atlanta moved up to get Julio Jones, and then we moved down to 25 or 26 and drafted Phil Taylor. And then, we passed up on AJ Green. And this year, again, we passed up on 2, which it looks like stud receivers. So it kind of worries me in the sense that if they knew, what exactly are they planning on doing, especially if he failed, for pot, that's going to be a year suspension. It could be less if it's something else. I think they said from anywhere from 6 to 8 games to a full year suspension.
Oh, so there's that much leniency in the suspension process. It's not an automatic 1 year?
Yeah, from what they were saying on the radio when I was driving home, it was anywhere from 6, 8 games. I guess it all depends on what he failed for. So if he failed for pot, I believe that will be a year, because he already failed once for it.
Okay.
But if it was like Adderall or something like that, he might just get 6 or 8 games. That's my understanding from the Browns radio network.
Well, I just had NBA scout, lifelong Cleveland sports fan Zak Baris on the program. He's been with us for about the past 3 years, maybe the past 2.5 years at least, covering NBA sports. By the way, are you hearing the ESPN dinger in the background?
Yes.
Okay, Kyle.
That's kind of cool, because I'm getting it on my TV and then I'm hearing it.
Kyle Van Noy, outside linebacker, goes to the Lions. So but Zach was saying that the Browns knew about the Gordon suspension, so they must know something else, because they didn't go out and get a receiver today. They must have a plan in place for this. That they're sticking to their plan instead of overreacting and overreaching on a receiver when we might have some other more pressing needs, like, hey, draft Manziel, you better draft lineman. Do you make anything of that I don't know, maybe they're not so high on the receiver, because this is a breaking story. And I'll have some more time to dig in and figure out some details later. But when you're live, you just kind of have to roll with the best information that you have. But Zach brought up a good point. It kind of seems weird that the Browns wouldn't switch and go, oh, you know what? We're without our number one guy, which is why I wanted Watkins in the first place, to be a great insurance policy for Gordon's drug problem. But I don't know. There's a lot of receivers in this draft, though, right?
Yeah, it's what they've said, that it's one of the deepest receiver drafts in a long, long time. And, to your point, I kind of I like the fact that they're sticking to their plan and they're addressing the biggest needs that we have, and that was a cornerback, a quarterback, and an offensive line. And, I would have liked them if they knew to get a receiver, but, if you look at it, we have Greg Little, who, he's whatever.
I thought you said a receiver. He's a dropper, if that's a position.
Okay, correct. He really is.
He's got skill, but he lacks concentration. I don't know what he's getting open. He's getting, and then just some of the boneheaded plays that guy makes. I know he's a converted running back out of North Carolina. I totally get that, but at some point, either you get better or you got to get cut. I'm surprised they didn't cut him along with Devon Bess.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't cut him last year. But, if you really look at our receiver depth, we have a nice receiving core. Minus Gordon now, you still have Burleson. You have Benjamin, who is that speed guy that you want. You signed Hawkins this year. You still have Jordan Cameron. Gary Barnidge is a good second tight end.
Josh Cooper.
Forget that. Yeah, Cooper. People forget that Dion Lewis is coming back from an injury, and he looked great in training camp. I'm in Brunswick now, so I'm 15 minutes away from Berea. So I went to a lot of training camps last year, and Dion Lewis is a nice back out of the backfield. You still have the receiver weapons. You don't have the stud that is Gordon or, a Megatron or anything like that. But to address the needs that we really need, it puts faith in me that this regime now, with Ray Farmer leading it up and, Haslam not, getting his hands involved in it and just letting the scouts and them and Pettin and the coaches address what they need right now to be a better team next year, I'm okay with not getting a receiver. And we have so many picks still that we can move up back into the second round to get a receiver if there's a guy on our board that drops and it's a good value pick. We can move back up and get him.
Yeah, you got to figure that we're manning the phones right now, calling every team, hey, what's it going to take to move up? We got two in the third. What was it? Two more in the fourth, and then a fifth and a sixth.
Fourth, we traded.
Okay, I got it here. We have 2 4s now. Pick number 106 and 127. Yeah, so we have two picks in the third, 2 picks in the fourth, and then we lost our fifth. Now we have a sixth and a seventh.
Okay, yeah, that's right. The fifth we lost. That's right.
Okay.
So we still have ammo to move up if there is a guy that they're targeting. Because coming into this draft, my big 3 were cornerback, quarterback, and offensive line. So right there, they've addressed all 3.
And so you
now,
how do you grade them right now?
I give them an A.
I gave him an A too. The Josh Gordon news breaking now. I'm trying to process it. I'm part of me is screaming. I don't know if it's my right brain, my left brain, or just my pent up Browns fan disgustment. I'm making up words now. I'm so disgusted with Josh Gordon's stupidity. But maybe all these years of pent up rage, I'm just screaming, that's why you should have taken Sammy Watkins, because you knew that this guy Josh Gordon was a ticking time bomb. If they're together, it's a two-headed beast unlike anything the NFL's seen in a very long time. Or if Gordon goes down, you can plug and play your number one. But we did need cornerback, we did need quarterback, and we did need offensive line. So and especially if we're that deep at wide receiver, I'm trying to process this on the fly, and I'm just kind of torn. I feel like Mel Gibson at the end of Braveheart being tied to 4 horses and going in multiple directions and just sitting here in the middle. I wanted to ask you this. You mentioned being in Brunswick, which of course is where I was born and raised, and I was wondering, did you see Kyrie Irving in Brunswick the other day?
No, I actually was stuck at work, but people on Twitter were blowing it up. There's a bunch of pictures of them and all that, but yeah, I didn't. I wanted to go out there and try to stalk him out a little bit, but yeah, I didn't get to see him.
The St. Louis Rams drafted LaMarcus Joyner, cornerback out of Florida State. Yeah, what was he there for? Just some fundraiser or something, or just hanging out? Does he have?
I think like fundraiser, motivational speak type thing. I know he has or they gave him the wrist braces for the accident that was here 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
I think
over...
it was something along that line.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that was cool to see because, of course, we're all crossing our fingers with the LeBron James thing, trying to figure out what's going on with Kyrie. Is he going to leave? They got a Deion Waiters feud going on with him. And, so somebody brought this up. Let me ask you the question. I could probably even just pull it up directly off of my Facebook. I got a buddy from Brunswick, actually, named Damien, and he asked a question. And I told him, you know what, I'll bring it up on the show. And so here's what he had to say, because now we're kind of blurring the lines between basketball and football now. He said,
it's all good.
He was saying, maybe it's a small thing, but I was curious on your thoughts. Wonder if... Oh, hold on. Actually, there were 2 questions here. There we go. Does Manziel does he help lobby LeBron James back to Cleveland? I'm sure Bron has told him all about the 216. Remember, LeBron reached out to Manziel when Manziel was getting out of control.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but LeBron tweeted out last night on the team flight, he already had a Browns Manziel jersey on, and he tweeted it to Johnny last night.
Wait, hold on. LeBron was already wearing a Johnny Manziel jersey?
He had a Browns jersey with Manziel and number 1 on it, and he tweeted it out to Johnny, and I can't remember the exact quote that he had on it, but he was standing on the, in the walkway on the plane, facing away with Manziel and number 1 on it, and it was a Browns jersey. And actually, I want to say it was Mary Kay Cabot today, or somebody in the press conference asked him if he can bring LeBron back to Cleveland. And Johnny said he didn't know if he could pull that off. So, I mean, you take that for what it's worth, but it was cool to see LeBron. And I was pissed when he left, because I am a Cavs. The only 2 Cleveland teams I like I'm a big fan of, are the Browns and the Cavs. So when LeBron left, I was like everybody else, completely pissed and all that. But now, if he comes back, if he wants to come back, I'm going to hold no grudge. I will welcome him back with open arms. I will buy him beer at the bar, whatever he wants, because I want to see this Cavs team do something. I still have the 80s taste in my mouth, with such great teams and Jordan. It still hurts.
Yeah, Zach talks about it all the time. I mean, the Cavs were primed and loaded to bring home a championship, except how do you get around Michael Jordan? I mean, Karl Malone did the same thing. Charles Barkley ran into the same thing. I mean, it's not like we're unique in that, but I mean, those were some great Cavs teams. I was there in Richfield myself. How old are you, John?
I am 35.
Yeah, I'll be 35 tomorrow. So, yeah. I mean,
happy early birthday.
Hey, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, and it hurt a lot when LeBron left, and I've done lots of shows because LeBron could have been like a Rocky Balboa, rags to riches, in the middle of a crashing economy, a great recession. The housing market destroyed, jobs are being lost. People are just miserable. You look at a place like Ohio with the Rust Belt and all the industry that left Youngstown and the car manufacturing that fled out of Detroit and around Cleveland. And it said, you know what?
I'm in the car manufacturing. I feel the hurt sometimes.
Yeah, man. And it's like LeBron James could have been a once-in-a-lifetime kind of figure that unites around a great recession from the Rust Belt, rags to riches, drafted by your hometown team. You struggle, you fight, you're close, not close enough. You go out there, you work even harder, and you finally bring him. He can never do that now.
Right.
He totally blew an opportunity. Easy for me to say he's won 2 straight titles and he's on his way to competing for a third. But, I mean, you just can't replace what doing that would have done for legacy, for the Rocky Balboa, for the die-hard sports fan that never catches a break. He was here and he blew it.
Yeah, at one point I was at where you were at with that. Now, kind of looking at it and then, being older and, changes in life, being engaged and all that now, I've kind of looked back on like what I was at that age, and I can kind of understand why he left. Not saying that it was the right way, but I mean, he was what, 22, 23 when he left, something like that.
We're on LeBron. He left at 25,
yeah.
just like I did.
Okay.
So I can't hate him for that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he wanted to go and have fun with his friends, and I held a lot. I think last year I finally let go of that grudge against him. I think I started appreciating what he actually was and what he did for downtown and the Gateway, because, I mean, the Indians were awful then, and all of a sudden you have life down there. And if he comes back, maybe it's the redemption story to where all of a sudden he's matured and realized, yeah, I made a mistake on how I left. Not that I left, but how I did it on national TV, and I pretty much kicked the whole city in the nuts.
Absolutely, he did. He invented a new worst way to break up with people. I heard a story about Phil Collins, and I haven't confirmed it, and I always keep telling it, so I should really do some research here. I feel very irresponsible. But there was a story, let's just say I heard a story about a certain very successful 80s singer-songwriter, not named anything, and that he broke up with his wife through a fax machine while he was performing in England. Sent a fax, like even worse than a text message. But up until that, like the way LeBron broke up with Cleveland was probably the worst thing ever. He invented a new worst way to do it.
Oh yeah, I remember, where was I? I believe I was at a bar, shockingly, and we were watching it, and I just remember sitting there, looking at my beer, going, "This doesn't even taste good right now." Like, I just went home and just stared at a blank TV for like 45 minutes before I even turned it on. Because I knew if I turned it on ESPN, I would break the TV. And
I walked outside. I pressed pause on the DVR, and I went outside for a good long time. And then I came back to see if what I thought happened really happened. Kind of like when Ohio State won the championship, and I kept waiting for the flag to get thrown. Did we really win? Hold on. Did we really win? Hold on. No, can't get excited. It took like 10 minutes before I could actually start cheering. To think, oh, wait, there's still a flag.
I was on the opposite end of that. I was like, where's the flag? Where's the flag?
Uh-huh.
But that's my hatred, But it's, to justify my hatred for Ohio State, I hate half the fan base. I probably like you as a fan. It's the fans after 2002 that I get in fights with at bars.
Oh, I mean, I was there with all of John Cooper's failure. John Cooper was your best head coach at Michigan. Let's just face it. He was your best head coach ever.
Far.
What a clown.
It's Bo Schembechler, then John Cooper.
Oh, exactly. Well, and for a while now, I've been saying that, it's kind of tough because Urban Meyer's very good, and so was the sweater vest. But I was saying Lloyd Carr was one of our best coaches ever, too, but you kind of moved another direction on him.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I would rather Lloyd Carr right now, and I was a huge Brady Hoke guy. When he got hired, I actually went up to Ann Arbor, and I was outside of Schembechler Hall for his press conference when he got hired. I was all aboard. Now I actually, I don't want to say I'm rooting for a bad season, but I'm hoping that we don't do really good because I don't have faith in him. He's brought in a lot of talent, and it hasn't produced. And I've kind of soured because I look at Ohio State and I look at Urban Meyer, and and I look at Penn State with Franklin and what they're doing recruiting and all that, and we're turning into, I hate to say it, but we're turning into an Iowa now as a Michigan fan. We're turning into Iowa, where we might have one good year here and there, and then we're going to be mediocre the rest.
Yeah, I like the feast or famine kind of stuff. I really like to go for it every year. Hey, you know what? I got your buddy Rob Trautman. I think he's going to be bouncing on the program in just a couple minutes. And I'll tell you what, being in the middle of May, we're getting close to college football season already. I can't freaking believe it. I'm so excited that only in a couple months we're going to have some football again, and we'll have to bring you back to talk some more Buckeyes and that team up north, whatever they're called. And I meant to have We Don't Give a Damn for the Whole State of Michigan queued up on YouTube, but once again, it was one of those days. Didn't have time to do the show prep like I like to. But anyway, I digress. I want to just ask a couple of quick points and kind of get bouncing here. A couple things that I jotted down. And one of them, I did just tweet out the Johnny Manziel Browns jersey picture with LeBron that you told me about. And if you want to see that, it's at American_media_. Please follow. Tell people where they can follow you if they want to get some more Cleveland Browns. And what other sports are your main ones? You said Browns and Cavs? And
Browns and Cavs for Cleveland, and then Tigers and Wolverines and Red Wings.
Gotcha.
For all the other sports. Yeah.
Hey, I'll never hate on you for rooting for the Red Wings. We don't have a pro hockey team. That's fine. The rest, hey, man, we're going to have to throw some bows one of these days. Maybe we'll go to the Red Onion and we'll do, I don't know, do some trivia.
I'm literally a quarter mile away from the Red Onion.
That's where I grew up, too, down off Substation.
I'm right on the corner of Grafton and Mark.
Yeah, yeah, dude, we're like in the same exact place. That's crazy. But when you told me to go take a look at the LeBron James picture, I found this here. It said Johnny Manziel received text messages from a lot of people yesterday, and it shows from AT&T. It shows here Drake says dropping a new single for you called "Get Me Out of Cleveland." LeBron says if you need directions out of Cleveland, hit me up. Jerry Jones says I tried to draft you, but someone hit me over the head with a chair. Sorry, Johnny. Kevin Costner says I'd make a reference to the movie Draft Day here, but no one has seen it. Brandon Whedon says, hey, I went 22nd too. So awesome. And then the NCAA left a message saying, any sanction we could have given you pales in comparison to being a Brown. LOL. So, I'm glad a lot of people are having fun with this. But like you said, I think that the headline that you used, I might even use this one to title this show, The Bar Went Nuts. Just tell me once more what happened. Could you feel it building as people all started buzzing and going, oh, they're trading up. They're taking Manziel. Was it like being out on the waves where there were ups and downs and everybody was confused? Because when they took the cornerback, when they took Justin Gilbert at 9, I just said, who? What?
Yeah.
Really?
When they took Gilbert, I was like, and then I started to kind of think about it, and then I was like, okay, wait, now he's going to be opposite side of Hayden. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And then, we were at with the guy you're having on, Rob. We were at Panini's with him. And then me and my fiance left, and we ended up at the Red Onion, shockingly. And so there was 20 people at the Red Onion, and we were all sitting there like, all right, 26. I was getting ready to go. I'm just like, I'll just go home and watch it. And then all of a sudden it came across that the Browns traded to 22. And I looked at my fiance. I'm like, holy F, we're getting Johnny Manziel. And a couple of the people next to me were like, you think this is happening? I'm like, yes, it is. And right when he came up and said Johnny Manziel, every person in the Red Onion, and the Red Onion is very small.
Very small.
But it went nuts. Everybody was high-fiving. People, certain people were hugging other people. I mean, it was awesome. And, I was so excited that I couldn't go to sleep afterwards just because I was like, oh my, we finally got somebody that brings relevance to the Browns.
And that is pretty cool to, like you said, bringing relevance to the Browns. It's kind of putting them back on the map. And, they've really been, kind of a laughing stock for a long time. And with 20 quarterbacks since 99, give me a break. That's an insane
Yeah.
amount of instability at that position when you've had Joe Thomas start every game for the past, 7 years? Something like that? 8 years now?
Yeah, something like that. And they just said now that the Browns sold 2,000 season tickets from last night after Manziel to today.
Yeah, and my buddy Zak Baris, who was on the program before you, he bought season tickets right after. He goes, great, now Josh Gordon's done for the year. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, go figure, the life of the Browns fans. Let's see, St. Louis Rams have taken LaMarcus Joyner, quarterback, Florida State. I did say that. Philadelphia has taken Jordan Matthews, wide receiver from Vanderbilt. Giants, Rams, and Seattle are on the clock. We got to get running here. We're going to bring Rob into the program. One more time, if you could just take the opportunity to tell people what you're up to, where they can follow you on social media, stay connected with what you're up to, and like I said, we'll have to bring you back again and talk some more.
Yeah, definitely. You can follow my personal Twitter account. It's TallJohn78. Also, if you're a Browns fan and you want to keep updated on what the Browns backers are doing out here, you can follow the Strongsville Browns backers at Backers478. We try to keep up to date with the Browns news, and then, just if you're back in Cleveland and you want to come hang out with the backers, Panini's in Strongsville, that's where we're at every Sunday. So, we try to keep tweeting constantly and keep up to date on everything. So, shoot us a follow and shoot me a follow if you want to heckle me when the Tigers play the Indians. I'm always up for a good ribbing, and I never block anybody or anything like that. So I always take the brunt of punishment along with giving it out as much as I can.
Kind of like the dinner table when Cecil Fielder was there, or the dinner table when who's your other big boy just left for Texas? Lord, having a brain fart.
Prince.
Yeah, Prince.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Whatever. I digress. It's been a long day. I'll deliver that joke with a little bit more comedic wit, with a little bit more of a Mitch Hedbergian flair next time. I'm just kind of running on fumes here today because my dad was in town yesterday and we were all at the bar watching it. We're putting together a Los Angeles Browns backers as well. And
nice.
Yeah, I mean. Definitely. The place didn't go nuts. People were kind of surprised, and definitely that's the one pick that made headlines today. And that's always good for ticket sales. But, man, I kind of wish I could have been there at the bar when everyone went nuts. Because, like you said, you remember when you drafted LeBron, when you got the ping pong ball, you remember what that bar went like when you were watching it, everybody went bonkers. And I really hope this pans out where he can be a quarterback that's going to be there for 10 years in a row and really take us to those Super Bowls and hopefully bring home a trophy for us. So, yeah, definitely everybody follow John. We'll bring him back into the program real soon. And thank you for joining us on your inaugural debut here on the Unhappy Hour, first of many perhaps.
Yes, definitely. Thanks for having me, and I'm always free to come on for anything. So just let me know.
Sounds good. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
All right, take care, John. Thanks. There he goes, everybody. Make sure that you are following him as he directed you to do. And we're going to get into Rob Trautman, his buddy. And this is kind of fun because now we have multiple people that actually know each other that want to talk some Browns. I like this. Because I lost my regular Browns guy, Brandon. So now we're getting more peeps in.
Brian, how you doing?
Rob, I'm living the dream, sir. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm doing the same thing you are. I'm still living that dream. I think we've been living it for a long time now.
Absolutely. Pinch me when it's over. I just had a guy on the program you might know. His name is John.
John.
Yeah, can you think of any Johns, maybe Strongsville Browns backers, Johns?
Yeah, he's a tall John. I think his name is T.J. Kuiper. He was on our show.
Yeah, Tall John, I think he goes by.
Yes, indeed.
No, that's great. We got a pipeline of diehard Cleveland Browns fans, and this is the time of year to bring you into the program. So before we get into things here, tell everybody once again who you are, what you're up to, and how they can stay connected to you in social media. And then we want to kind of go through round one and then, of course, day two with a little bit of information, including the Josh Gordon news that I don't like at all. But please introduce yourself again, Rob.
Well, I'm Rob Trautman I'm the host of Sports on Tap, and you can follow us at Sports on Tap, or you can follow me on Twitter at rtrauty, Trauty, and we're a local sports show here in the Cleveland area. We talk a lot of local high school sports, but also cover national and Cleveland, Indians, Browns, Cavs, whatever anybody wants to talk about, we talk about on our podcast. And it's a good time, so give us a listen at SOT Podcast on Twitter. We're also on Facebook, too, so follow us on there. And we're on iTunes, Podomatic, anything you can think of here.
Well, let me see. I want to get into the Browns, but you reminded me with the high school thing. Did you see where Kyrie Irving went to the Brunswick High School last week? Did you have a chance to catch that?
Yeah, and Kyrie Irving is going to be back in Brunswick, I believe, May 18th. But, yeah, he was there. I think he's promoting some things for the Cavs and himself. I think it's for his camps, but I could be wrong. But, yeah, he was in the Brunswick area, and I know he's a big supporter of, he was wearing some wristbands for some of the kids that passed away in that car crash. They were from Brunswick High School. And, he's very involved in the community, even though you don't necessarily see it all over the news and everything like that. He's all over the community and does a lot of good things around here.
Yeah, I'm just kind of concerned about Kyrie, if he's going to re-sign or if he's out, what's going on with him and Dion. If we're going to be able to go pull the trigger and maybe bring a Kevin Love or somebody else, maybe package a Tristan and some trades to try to lure LeBron back with maybe a better Big Three. Sorry, a lot of drafts are happening in the background here. Let me catch you up to speed with what's going on as best I can pronounce these names. The Eagles just picked Jordan Matthews, wide receiver out of Vanderbilt. Giants picked Weston Richburg, center. Weston Richburg, center out of Colorado State. Buffalo picked Cyrus Kua. You want to help me with that?
You know what? I can't even say it, but I know he's from Alabama, I believe.
Yes, Kuwandijo. I'll have to work on that one.
I think you might be pretty close on that.
Kuwandijo from Alabama, offensive tackle. The Seahawks picked Paul Richardson, wide receiver out of Colorado. Okay, interesting because they let Golden Tate go. Pittsburgh picked Stephon Truitt, defensive end out of Notre Dame. The Redskins picked Trent Murphy, outside linebacker out of Stanford. Baltimore is on the clock with the Jets, Miami, and Chicago following. Whew, okay, now maybe I can catch up. So... yeah, and Kyrie's coming back again to Brunswick. I think he's really going to help their squad this year. I saw the jersey.
Yeah, he probably could take on a whole team if he wanted, probably in high school the way he plays. But he'll be back, I believe, May 18th. He's what he's trying to do is promote his basketball camps, which are all in different area and locations. So. I believe May 18th was the date that he's coming back to Brunswick. He's just been getting out and about, that's for sure. If I knew he was going to be there, I would have been up there, but I knew a little bit too late.
Yeah, well, it's nice to see, but, I mean, LeBron likes to ride his bikes in Akron. That didn't keep him in Cleveland. So
that's true.
We'll follow that.
Wait and see. And that's the thing. It was an interesting year. I know we're not talking Cavs, but it was a little interesting to find the Cleveland Cavaliers this year. In the beginning of the year, they seemed to really struggle, but, in the middle and the end of the year, they really started to play well together. And I don't know if Kyrie and Dion put their differences aside and got along, but, as professionals, that's one thing around here in Cleveland. They're like, Mike Brown needs to try to get these guys to play harder, play better. And in all honesty, that really shouldn't be necessarily part. I mean, yeah, he has to do that, but, he shouldn't go above and beyond to do that. These guys make millions of dollars. You should be playing hard every quarter and playing to the best of your ability. I don't care, where you play, who you're playing with. You're getting paid a lot of money. You better go out there and play your hardest. And these guys didn't do that in the beginning of the year.
You're right. They just did not. It was pretty painful. But you know what I think it was? I think it was Andrew Bynum. Look, he goes to Indiana, and look at the disaster that they turned into. They were the best team in the NBA. And it just, I mean, a lot of people are hearing. I'm hearing lots of rumors about that team, and I'm not going to get into that here. But they cut Andrew Bynum, and look, they tied up the series 1-1. So maybe it's just the Bynum cancer. I mean, we tried the Bynum thing out for a couple months, and no thanks, goodbye. Thanks for here's your $1 million, goodbye. And but yeah, let's bounce back yesterday. Talk about the draft a little bit. Some Cleveland Browns. Obviously, we can talk any sport all day, as we've done before. But what would you grade the Cleveland Browns draft? And we can even include Joel Bitonio, offensive tackle from Nevada, that we took in the second round, pick number 35 overall. How would you grade the Cleveland Browns draft so far?
Well, it's tough for me to give an A. I mean, they're pretty close. I give them a B+ right now. If they got that big wide receiver, and obviously, everybody knows about the Josh Gordon rumors, which we're still waiting to see if that's true or not, because according to his agent, it's not true that he did not test positive for any drug. That's according to his agent, but according to ESPN Outside the Lines reporting that he did test positive, and if that was the case, he would have a year suspension and then have to apply to be reinstated next year, which, according to different reports, the Browns tried to trade Josh Gordon this summer, but there were no takers because of worried that, one mistake, he's suspended for the year, which I don't know how true that is. But
wait, they tried to trade him last year before his breakout season, or in the past couple months?
I believe it was after the year, or you know what, maybe it was before the year. They said in the summer, so I don't know. I don't know how true it is. There were reports that the Browns did try at one point to trade him, but there were no takers because of his there's no tolerance, basically, and they said, one more test positive, you're out the whole year. And no teams wanted to take that chance that was too big of a gamble for them. And,
and he's a kid that went to the supplemental draft because he got kicked out of 2 colleges. I mean, we knew who we were getting. I recall before last year's breakout season when he was suspended for those 2 games for like codeine cough syrup or something. I think that they were trying to trade, with the new regime coming in, maybe just try to trade him away, get some value because they had a hunch, which is why for me, Sammy Watkins made a lot of sense at number 4 and even more sense today. But you didn't see the Browns panic and go get Marquise Lee or any of the wide receivers. They went offensive tackle. So, I mean, Ray Farmer has a plan, and we don't know from Ray Farmer. We haven't seen him run a team yet. So, I mean, my perspective is, Rob, we just got to give him a chance and see what give him a couple of years for the whole plan to shake out. But it makes me real nervous right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. You got to give Ray Farmer a chance. And I think what he did, I mean, I in all honesty, and we had our podcast this last Thursday, and we did our mock draft. Not this Thursday, but the one before, and that was my pick with Sammy Watkins because it would be, a perfect scenario. If anything happened with Josh Gordon, which I didn't say this, but you can fall back and have Sammy Watkins, or you have so many different weapons on the offense. You can distribute and win in different ways there. But overall, I mean, I gave the Browns a B to B+ because of the fact, they traded that pick. Sammy Watkins, they did get. Cornerback Justin Gilbert, who is another need the Browns needed opposite Joe Hayden, because Buster Skrine last year really struggled giving up big plays in the secondary, and I think that was definitely a need for them. And Gilbert was projected as one of the best cornerbacks in the draft. And then, they got the next year's first-round pick of Buffalo and a fourth-rounder. So you get 3 picks for Sammy Watkins, and Buffalo's really taking a gamble. They hope that, Sammy Watkins is the guy. And obviously, trading Stevie Johnson, they're pretty much done with him. So it's pretty much in the hands of Sammy Watkins now. But, after a while, I didn't mind that trade. I mean, getting a first-round pick of Buffalo next year, I think is huge for this team, especially when you get your corner who, could be opposite Joe Hayden, could be a shutdown corner, and he's very physical, a man-to-man corner, and fits the scheme really well for Mike Pettin. Then they go out and, they traded up from 26 to get Johnny Manziel, which, for a front office move, I mean, the Browns have sold more season tickets and gotten renewals just last night than the whole last year. and jersey sales are obviously going to be up, which that's not what it's all about. It's all about winning. But this guy, he's confident. He has a pretty strong, accurate arm. The one thing he even admitted today in the press conference was he has to learn how to have more and better pocket presence and not just put the ball down and run. But he says, there are going to be times that, to get that first down, I'm going to have to put the ball down and run and do whatever I can for this team to get the first down, which, I think he is willing to learn from these guys. And he even said he needs to learn, and he thinks Kyle Shanahan and this crew is going to do that for him. And this guy, he's confident. He's had success. He has very accurate arm. Yeah, he ran a lot his freshman season at Texas A&M, but if you look at stats, his sophomore season, he didn't run as much. I mean, he had a lot less carries, and I think that's one thing that he's improving on is just looking through his options. And I know they said, he struggled with looking at all options, but that's something that will come with time. And, him and Brian Hoyer are going to go at it, and I think it's going to be really good for this city of Cleveland. And so far, fans are really taking to it, and I think it's kind of what the Browns needed. They need some life in the building, and there's a lot different atmosphere up in Berea today. And then you talked about the offensive tackle, and he's out in Nevada, has kind of a mean streak, very physical, and they said he can come in right away and start. A lot of the analysts liked him a lot. I was a little surprised they didn't go with Marquise Lee. I thought that would have been a great pick, just in case the Josh Gordon situation. But this is a deep wide receiver class. There's still Allen Robinson. Hopefully there. I'm not sure if any got picked since your last update. But Allen Robinson's there. There's a kid out of Indiana who's a very good wide receiver. Another guy out of LSU who is under the radar because Odell Beckham is available. So there's still 3 or 4 really good wide receivers there that the Browns might have at the top of their list, or maybe they could trade back up. But they might know something that we don't, but they need one of those wide receivers. And if they get one of those wide receivers, I'd say it's probably an A draft so far because they're really getting all their needs right now filled, in my opinion.
2 picks that have happened. Timmy Jernigan, defensive tackle, Florida State, went to the Baltimore Ravens. Introduce Johnny Manziel, better introduce himself to that. Playing in the division twice a year and hopefully the playoffs. New York Jets took Jace Amaro, tight end out of Texas Tech.
And Jernigan's one of those guys we saw playing the championship game where he was out of breath on the sidelines. And, he seemed like he's a solid player, but he's got to get in good shape, and he's got to really, I think, put a little more effort. There's some plays I thought this year he took off, and it was commented in some of the games. But he has a lot of upside and a lot of talent. But will the Ravens get the most out of him? That'll be determined this year.
Are you surprised that Jerry Jones didn't go out and get Johnny Manziel when he slipped there with a 34-year-old? Tony Romo coming off a couple back surgeries. I was really shocked that they didn't pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, that would have been huge for them. I mean, I agree with you. I was a little bit surprised, but at the same time, maybe they think Brandon Weeden will take them to the promised land because it worked pretty good out in Cleveland here, but. It was interesting because Johnny Manziel, like I said, I mean, it's unbelievable that one player like that, because of his status, and the ticket sales, renewals were up 2,500, and that was during the afternoon, and it was all of a sudden 3,000 by the end of today. Jersey sales are going through the roof, and I mean, what this guy brings it's unbelievable, really. I mean, he hasn't played it down yet, so that's going to be the interesting part, but. Yeah, Jerry Jones, I thought for sure that would have been a nice fit for him. He's a Texas guy, but Johnny Manziel even was asked about that, and he said he doesn't know if he could have handled that playing in Texas.
I think what he said, the world couldn't have handled that.
Yeah,
I think it was
probably. You know what? I probably would tend to agree with him too on that one.
Yeah, this is really crazy. It goes to show what happened since a couple of years ago. To switch gears here back. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. 50 picks. We're up to pick 19 now. But through 18 picks in the second round and the entire first round, not a single running back has been taken.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, it really is, I understand it's a passing league, but let's look at some of the teams last year that made it far, like the Seattle Seahawks, the San Francisco 49ers, the Denver Broncos. You know what, those are not necessarily, I mean, Seattle and San Francisco aren't necessarily crazy passing teams. They also have a nice set of running backs that kind of offset that. Or the Denver Broncos, yes, they're a passing team, but Noshan Moreno was a pretty liable and pretty solid back for them last year. I mean, you go down the line, the Browns last year, I think their problem was they didn't have a consistent running back in the backfield to hand the ball to and take some of the pressure off of the Browns quarterbacks, and that's the issue. I mean, that's why they're passing 50 to 60 times, and look at their record, 4-5 wins. You know, it's unbelievable that, you know, everybody's saying you don't need a running back to win anymore. I still think you need that balanced attack, and, you know, to not have a running back go off the board is unbelievable to me. Carlos Hyde is still there, and I think he's, you know, an NFL-ready back. He's very strong, sees the hole really well, pretty quick for a bigger guy, and I'm interested to see where he's going to go in this draft. And, you know, who knows at this point who's going to need a running back or want one for that matter.
Yeah, it's pretty tough seeing Ryan Shazier go to Steelers. Just like, what was that? Who was that? Yeah. Cameron Hayward went there a couple years ago.
You know what? They've had a lot of Ohio State picks there, and Shazier's another one. He had over 100 tackles this last year, and he's kind of all over the place. You know, he's a pretty solid back, but when you have that many tackles, you know the guys are getting to the second level, and he's going to have to make the tackle, and he did. But yeah, that's a good pick for Pittsburgh. As much as I hate to see any Ohio player go to the Steelers, but
exactly
the
last two picks, Jeremiah Atachu, Ataochu, outside linebacker, Georgia Tech. He went to the Chargers, and the Bears just picked Ego Ferguson, defensive tackle, LSU.
And what number pick is that?
We're at number 19 in the second round. So, I don't know, what is that, 51 or something?
Oh, okay. So the Browns still have about
yeah, we got to wait. We got to wait through Arizona, Green Bay, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, San Francisco, San Diego, New Orleans, Indianapolis, Carolina, San Francisco, New England, Denver, Seattle, and then in the third round, we have to wait through Houston, Washington, Oakland, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, and then there we are. See?
And you know what, though? I think when it gets a little bit closer to them, I could see, you know, maybe a trade up if there's a player there, but you know, I think, you know, it seems like they're just going to wait it out. I mean, unless, you know, they have a good feel for it, but I'm hoping their next pick is a wide receiver. They got that tackle who, you know, could come in and start. Now I think it's a wide receiver that they need. I mean, the other need is, you know, a linebacker or a running back. You have Ben Tate, Deion Lewis, and some solid running backs, so I'm not sure they need a young running back to come in here. I would more point to a linebacker or a wide receiver with their next pick.
What about offensive guard?
I believe they still have, you know, and
wait, I still got you, Rob? Oh. Always happens. Bring up offensive guards and the phone cuts out. Rob, you still there? Hang on, let's try to get him back real quick. Jason Pinkston and Greco.
All right. Don't know what happened on that one, but
welcome back.
Welcome back to the show.
We have John Greco at guard, and we also have Jason Pinkston.
Yeah, and I think Pinkston's actually coming back from an injury this last year. But Greco, I think, would be the offensive starter at this point in time. They also have, I believe, LaQuiston, who's a guy that they got from Seattle that can be a little versatile and play some different positions. But apparently this guy from Nevada they can plug in would be on the left side. It would be Joe Thomas. Then it would be the guy from Nevada we just got to be Alex Mack. And like you said, you have a Greco and Schwartz, which I mean is not a bad line right now.
We have Garrett Gilkey, Paul McQuiston. Gilkey's like a second-year player, and McQuiston is 9 years in from Weber State.
Yeah, and Gilkey, yeah, he's a younger player that who knows what can happen with that. But we'll wait and see what the Browns do here. Should be interesting.
Absolutely, man. Well, I don't know. Any final? I don't know. I would probably give the Browns draft an A. You know, I just seeing the Josh Gordon thing today, though, it really just eats me alive. Because I was just saying, you know, Sammy Watkins is a stud. Go get him because he's a great insurance policy. And, you know, I will have some time to rethink this and go through strategy and come up with some other things to say. But I probably said it to all three of my football guests that I've had on the program today, as you'll hear in post-production if you check it out on thenewamericanmedia.com or youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. But, yeah, I just seeing that Josh Gordon might be done for the year, it's very frustrating for me.
Yeah, and I think it's frustrating for all Browns fans. They were all on a high, and then you get this news about Josh Gordon, which, you know, is a huge loss if it's true. We'll wait to see. I mean, I don't know why, you know, ESPN outside the lines, I don't think would report something like that if it wasn't true. But we'll wait and see. And I mean, if it is true, it's a huge loss for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, especially losing a wide receiver that, you know, had such a big impact last year and was your number one receiver. You know, that's a huge loss. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens.
I'll say I think that I think that ESPN might have reported that the Duke lacrosse players raped that girl, and it turns out that wasn't true. But yeah, I mean, it's not like coming off of some random blog somewhere. When it comes off ESPN or Outside the Lines, you go, this is 90%. Okay, oh Lord, please don't be true. Please be another Duke lacrosse story where it's not true. But I don't know. Yeah, we will see.
Yeah,
and there's
you know what? It's better to be optimistic, and like you said, we'll wait till the NFL speaks out on it and it gives the final word basically on what's going on.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. You got any final thoughts on anything? Anything? Buckeyes, Cavs, Indians, Browns, anything across the board, draft related in general. Any final?
Well, we'll keep it draft related, and we'll just say, you know, hopefully the Browns will select a wide receiver with their next pick here in the third round, or move up. But hopefully they pick a wide receiver, you know, just to play it safe, because there's such a deep wide receiver class there. If you want to talk Indians, hopefully the Indians can continue to start getting on a little bit of a streak. They've been struggling a little bit. In the Cavs, this is a big off season for them. I'm sure we'll talk about it when things develop and happen, but you know, this is it's really a big off season for all Cleveland sports, it seems like. And you know, whether it's the Indians, Browns, Cavs, you know, it's always a big season for those teams, especially, you know, they're starting to develop, they're young, energetic teams on the rise. Let's see what can happen, you know, with some of these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Absolutely. Rob, tell everybody where they can stay connected with you one more time, pal.
All right, at rtrauty, RTRAUTY on Twitter, or at SOT Podcast. Listen to all of our podcasts on Podomatic and iTunes. We're Sports on Tap, and appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and we'll do this again soon. And be sure to say hi to John next time you see him. It was his first inaugural entrance here to the Unhappy Hour. It was a good time for sure, and we'll all do this again soon. I appreciate your time, Rob.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian. Take care.
You too. There he goes. Rob Trautman, everybody. Please make sure that you're following what they are up to. Love good conversation about football time. Browns fans. Gotta love it. Starting an LA Browns Backers Club out here as well. So if you're in the LA area, send us a direct message on Twitter. Or tag us on Twitter. We're at American_media_. Make sure you're following us on Facebook. Do a search for The New American Media with spaces in between, and like the page. Check out our homepage, thenewamericanmedia.com. You can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thenewamericanmedia. Comment on the show and say, hey, I live in LA. Where's their Browns backers place? And I'll tell you where we're building this thing. It's going to be great. And tomorrow we're going to be out at the United We Stand Festival. Venue relocation. Check out their website, unitedwestandfest.com. Oh, it's going to be a good one. Wu-Tang Clan, Immortal Technique, Chuck D of Public Enemy, Dennis Kucinich, Sean Stone, son of Oliver Stone, Abby Martin from Russia Today, Amber Lyon, journalist, Dan Johnson from Panda, Ben Swan, journalist. This is going to be a really cool event, so if you get the chance to swing by and check it out, please do. Gary Johnson, we've interviewed him before, presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. Larry King, a whole bunch of people. Check it out, United We Stand Fest. It's tomorrow, May 10th. I love that noise. Devontae Adams, wide receiver, Fresno State, taken by Green Bay. All right, everybody. This is our weekend where we celebrate our birthday. 3 years now you've been hearing from the New American Media. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. We love you. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.